video, we're going to discuss the individuals that you need to talk to in order to get a contract in place in 2024. Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Natasha, the business recruiter. Welcome back to my channel. So when it comes to you actually starting a recruiting agency, if that is your goal for 2024, one of the first steps that you're going to have to do before you get to that point of being able to bring in any revenue is actually getting a contract in place. And this part can actually be a bit daunting for those who are just getting started. One of the most important things that you need to remember is the individuals who you need to reach out to in order to get that contract in place. Because while there are many titles within an organization and many individuals within an organization, not all of them have the power to be able to actually put a contract in place. And this is why it's important that you actually target those individuals who are considered to be decision makers. And decision makers are essentially anyone at an organization that you are prospecting or at least thinking about them potentially becoming a client for you, who can ultimately sign a contract and execute it by putting it in place. Decision makers will typically have job titles that are more senior in nature, meaning that we're talking anyone within the C-suite, so chief executive officers or a chief marketing officer, anyone who has a vice president role. So this could be a senior vice president role or even just a regular vice president role. It could also be anyone who has a director in their title. This could be director of marketing or director of HR. But again, anyone who has a more senior level title is ultimately going to have the power to be able to put that contract in place. Now, it's important to keep in mind that every organization is structured differently. This means that if you're working with more small to medium-sized organizations, you may find that the titling doesn't quite fit the same as a large-size organization. Meaning, within small to medium organizations, you may actually find that individuals with manager in their job title actually have the ability to be able to put a contract in place, while at more large-scale organizations, those individuals who I mentioned that have more senior names within their title are ultimately better positioned to be able to put that contract in place. Now, one of the main things that you're probably wondering is, well, how do you actually go about finding these individuals? What's the best place for you to be able to reach out to decision makers? And this is where I come back to LinkedIn as a great resource and tool that you can leverage in regards to this process. Now, of course, there are many ways for you to go about lead generation, including leveraging VAs or even the multitude of AI tools that are out there. But LinkedIn is an extremely helpful resource for you in terms of being able to identify who those decision makers are. And ultimately, if you already have a particular industry and or niche that you're working within, LinkedIn allows you to be able to filter strategically to that industry and or niche. That way, it's easier for you to be able to find decision makers who are associated with your area of interest. Now, when it comes to LinkedIn, one of the key things that you want to keep in mind is that you are still looking for those individuals who have more senior level titles, unless you are familiar with the organization and you know that they're smaller. So then maybe you can start with managers. However, what you want to keep in mind is that you want to reach out to everyone, meaning that you don't just want to see someone with a vice president title, reach out to them, and then reach out to no one else within that organization who has that same title. You never know who the individual is who will actually be able to execute on the contract and sign it for you in order to be able to put it in place. So when it comes to thinking about reaching out to decision makers, understand that there is no limit in the number of decision makers that you should be reaching out to within each organization. I've seen it happen a multitude of times where connections have been made with one decision maker and then maybe another decision maker later, which ultimately allows you the opportunity to be able to take on a multitude of requisitions. Now, you can use the regular version for LinkedIn to be able to do this. You would simply go to your search box and then click on people. And from there, you can type in Vice President of Human Resources, for example, and it would pull up all of the Vice Presidents for Human Resources. From there, you can go ahead and start your filtering by getting to your industry or area of expertise in terms of your niche. You can also leverage the paid version of LinkedIn, which is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. This is the one that I highly recommend because they have advanced filtering options, and it just makes this process a lot easier. But again, you have to keep in mind that everyone has a different budget in terms of being able to get their recruiting agency off of the ground. So it's important for you to work within the realm that makes the most sense for you, and understand that you can do this for free or you can do this with the paid version of LinkedIn. Now, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button as well as that bell so that you can get notified of all of my videos that do drop weekly. Finally, I do think that it's important that you keep in mind when you're reaching out to decision makers that you should already have your email sequence or your cold emails campaigns already figured out, meaning you understand how many emails you're going to be sending to those decision makers. If you're going about cold calling, then you should already have an understanding of how many cold calls you're going to do. This will help to set you up for success from the very beginning before you even start outreach. Lead generation is one thing, but if you don't actually have the systems in place or the plan in place in order to be able to actually continue that lead generation all the way to outreach, then it's not going to yield you the results that you're looking for. What you don't want to do is be in the moment and trying to figure out what you want to say in an email or what you want to say in a call. So if you haven't already started thinking about what your cold email sequence will be, how many emails you'll be sending out, what your cold call script will be, or how many cold calls you plan on doing, I would definitely encourage that you do that even before you start the process of lead generation and searching for those decision makers. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, then be sure to give me a thumbs up, as well as if you're not in my Facebook group, I highly encourage that you join because we are in there talking all things recruiting. I'll be sure to leave that link down below in the description box for you. And as always, I love taking questions. So if you have any questions, definitely feel free to comment down below and I'll be happy to get back to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.